How's it going, guys? Dave here. Hope you're doing well. I'm up on the rooftop of the Riyadh Africa in Marrakech. Yeah, I wanted to really cover off all of the things that went right, the things that went wrong. Not that there was anything wrong, really. The only thing that concerned me really was for Jen, who was with us, because she started the day perfectly fine, like just completely healthy. And by the time we got to around 3,000 meters, she started to, you know, I noticed her breathing was a bit labouring. She started having this cough and complaining that she felt like there was stuff on her chest, on her lungs. You know, she was struggling with the adjustment to high altitude, and that jump of around 1,000 meters really, I think, shocked the system quite a lot for her. And then in the following morning, you know, it didn't seem to be any better, but you know, she was so determined, and I gotta be honest, I probably wouldn't have even attempted the summit. She did attempt the summit and set off with every intention of making it. But as soon as we started going uphill, she was like getting quarter breaths, you know, and even at that altitude, that's unusual. And yeah, we just decided that, well, Jen decided ultimately that it was going to be safer for her to turn back and head back down. So yeah, that left two of us, so myself and Zach, with our guide Mohammed, and we set off for the summit. And when we set off, I didn't even have my down jacket on. I just had a base layer, a mid layer, like a fleece with a hood, and like a gilet. And that's all I needed. And even then I was sweating quite a lot into my beanie, which created a problem of its own later on. But then all of a sudden we had this sudden gust of wind that hit us. And then it didn't stop, and the temperature plummeted. So my 2.5 litres of water that turned into 2.5 litres of ice. So really there wasn't much opportunity for any water, so it was quite dehydrated by the time we got down. My Mars bars turned to frozen Mars bars. All my sweets turned to frozen sweets. It was a really tough one. The conditions on the mountain were very mixed, to be honest with you. There was rocky terrain, which tended to be loose and slippy. It was like marbles. Then we had sort of like powder snow, which had freshly fallen the night before. And then more treacherously, we had ice. Now the ice was just so random, you know, and it was just in odd spots here and there. And as I said in my first video about that horrible accident, I think that was due to someone stepping on ice and slipping whilst trying to stop someone else from going. So this was in the forefront of our mind, but what it meant was that up and down the mountain we were having to constantly stop to put crampons on, take crampons off, put crampons on, take crampons off. We must have done it 5 times. Yeah, so you know, pretty exhausting. And it's funny how, like, when you're at altitude things get harder anyway, but then when you add the weather, the constant wind, the temperature must have been -20. It's really exhausting to have mentally to stop, get your pack off, get your crampons out, put them on, carry on again. Maybe half an hour later, stop, take your rucksack off, take your crampons off, crack on again. An hour later, repeat the process. So yeah, it was quite tough. All the while though, I was really like relishing the experience, but in the back of my mind I could feel my toes going cold, my fingers getting cold. Operating the crampon straps was getting harder and harder because I couldn't feel anything. But we persevered, and we did so sensibly. You know, it wasn't a case of summit at all costs. You have these stages where you make it to this point, then this point, then this point, and at each point we stopped, checked our surroundings, see how we felt, and then we carried on. And it was like that, very methodical, very thought out, very practiced. And the 3 of us together just trucked along and made it to the summit. And what was really strange was that it was like 60-70 mile an hour gusts on the mountain. It was really quite tricky in places, and then you get to the summit, it's just a gentle wisp of wind. So when I showed everyone my summit pictures, they were like, what are you talking about? But yeah, as soon as you stepped off that summit, the wind hit you. Yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed doing it with Zach as well. He's just one of those, like, he's a really nice guy, really sweet guy. He's, you know, unassuming, inoffensive. I think Morocco might have just scored a goal. World Cup's happening, and yeah, he's just really calm and influence on the mountain, and just really a pleasure to hike and trek with. Yeah, and I was really pleased that me and him did it together. On the way down, you know, we really did support each other, because the path that we took the way down, we didn't want to down climb through all those snow and ice. We wanted to take a route that didn't require us to have the crampons on. Zach, there was like a couple of boulders that sort of hit him on the leg and he fell over and spun upside down on the trail. Comical now because we know that I know he didn't hurt himself, but at the time, yeah, we were a little bit worried. Yeah, the most important thing in that situation is to take it steady, to make calculated decisions about where you're going, and not just get down as quickly as possible. It's about getting down as safely as possible, as quickly as possible, and it's the safety bit that I think is crucial. So when we had to go slow, we went slow. When we had to put crampons on, we put them on. We didn't take any shortcuts, and I'm really thankful for that, because when we got down, we were healthy, you know, no injuries or anything like that, and we were able just to kind of get some food and relax and play cards and just kind of think about what we'd achieved. Of all of the summits that I've done, I learned a lot from this one. It's my first proper winter summit of a high altitude peak. I've done a lot of winter mountaineering, but this was, yeah, definitely learned a lot, and it's actually, I think, been a big leap forward in my ability-wise, knowledge-wise, and I think going forward, I'm gonna take a lot of the lessons I've learned on this winter ascent of Toubkal into higher peaks.